Again, thank you, everyone. I'm going to be letting people in as they come in. Again, I want to say thank you to everyone for being part of this discussion tonight. I think it's extremely important that we have the opportunity not only to talk to our elected officials, but also other people in the community who are trying to solve issues as they come up. My name is Anietie Ekanem, and I started OneBayview Speaks. I want to begin with our ancestral acknowledgement. We honor the gifts, resilience, and sacrifices of our Black ancestors, particularly those who toiled the land and built the institutions that established the city's wealth and freedom, despite never being compensated nor fully realizing their own sovereignty. We acknowledge this exploitation of not only our labor, but of our humanity, and through this process of working to repair some of the harms done by public and private actors. Because of this work, we are here and will invest in the descendants of their legacy. This is the Black ancestral acknowledgement that was created and done for the San Francisco African American Reparations Committee that I had the honor to serve on, primarily because of Supervisor Walton. And we did a lot of good work there, but I also think it's really important for us to acknowledge the work that Black people have done for the city and county of San Francisco. In addition, I also believe it's important to read the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of this land, and in accordance with their tradition, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as the caretakers of this place, as well as for all peoples who reside in their traditional territory. As guests, we recognize that we benefit from the living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community, and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. I also wanted to share my mission. My personal mission is to empower people and communities to manage their true potential and experience extraordinary success. I take that to heart in everything that I do. Personally, again, with Supervisor Walton and others, I served on the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission Citizens Advisory Committee as a representative of the Bayview, and then went on to chair that committee, where we really talked about all issues having to deal with water, power, and sewer, and its relations not only to our neighborhood, but neighborhoods across the city and county, but also with a focus on equity and what it actually means to spend in our neighborhoods and to support our local businesses. So I think it's really important. In addition, I had the opportunity to serve on the reparations committee recently, and being able to work with my community, right? Not only Bayview, but all of San Francisco on such an important matter has been really important. We sunsetted in January of this year, 2024. We did our work in providing the reparations committee final report, and we'll have some questions around where we are with that a little later today. I also want to share just why I do this. So number one, this has been a passion project for me since 2017. And specifically, I remember I have the freedom to sort of be in the rooms, right? Especially at public meetings, government meetings, or nonprofit meetings. And I remember in 2016, this is well before the pandemic, going to yet another government meeting that was happening during the day, right? I believe this one was at 11 o'clock. And people were angry that people from the community weren't there. I was mad, actually, right? Like, you expected people to take time out of their day. You expected them to take sick days or vacation days to come to your meeting. Like, this is important, but for the average family, they have other priorities to do. Now, let me be very clear. In talking to my neighbors, the community, people care about what's going on. They just can't do it at 11 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I remember talking to these people and being actually really upset and saying, so why didn't we do this like at 6 or 7 or 8? And I remember this person saying, oh, because I have to pick up my kids. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. You get to pick up your kids and you want to criticize us because we actually have to work during the day to feed ours, right? And so that's where this idea was born. I think over the past couple of years, with the pandemic, a lot of people have been going online, which is amazing and great. Unfortunately, I think the public access via online has been sort of shut off. So these types of forums, I think, are really still important today. So we really just wanted to get people the opportunity to ask questions of their representatives, but also other people in the community who are making a difference or who want to make a difference. And if you stick around, I'm actually going to ask what we actually want to do next as far as different speakers or topics sort of moving forward. Really, the whole mission is just to connect people in the neighborhood. Like I said, I started this because I was really upset with what some of the folks who are trying to do good work in government were saying about people in the community. But also, look, we know what's happening within a block. A block and 1 inch, not so much, right? And so the idea that we can sort of bring the right people together to have conversations is really important to me. We have our newsletter. We have a site under development. We've done marketing campaigns in the past. And because of all the times that we've actually had this and being part of reparations, et cetera, people from the Fillmore actually reached out to us. And last week, we actually did our first One Fillmore event with Supervisor Preston, where we asked them questions and sort of focused in on that community too. And I think there was like a lot of cross posting. So, because it's not, if what happens in one neighborhood actually affects other neighborhoods, right? And so we just wanted to give people the opportunity, if it's appropriate and if you so choose, to be able to have that level of conversation. But tonight we're going to focus in on the Bayview. I just want to go over community agreements. This is not a public meeting, right? This is sort of a community private meeting, so we can sort of have real talk. I just want people to be aware of the impact of their words. Practice self-care. If you need to go off camera, if you need to, do the things that you need to do, please feel free. Please keep yourselves on mute. Approach this work with a beginner's mindset, right? With a beginner's mindset, which means just be inquisitive, right? And please take the stance that people are trying to actually do good work, right? They're not trying to be evil on this call. I really believe that if you're on this call, people sort of want to know and share and be part of the solution sort of moving forward. So just please be mindful of the space that you occupy, right? We want to hear from people. If you have questions, please put them like in the chat. We have a number of questions to sort of go through, but as we sort of do that, I definitely want to sort of open it up to community sort of moving forward. With Representative Shammon Walton. Shammon has done great work for our community. He's been our district supervisor. I believe this is your second term?
It is.
Yeah. All too often, I've actually been with my folks, with my mom specifically in the South in Atlanta. And watching the news down there, everything news in general is negative, but everything there is really negative, right? Like, and every criminal is Black, which statistically just can't be the case. So as I'm talking about Bayview, I actually wanted to give you an opportunity to just share with us about what's going right in the Bayview from your perspective. What are the things that you sort of have done or sort of pushed forward that we need to know about?
Well, first of all, Anietie, I just want to say thank you for having this session and conversation with everyone tonight. I think I know it's been a while since we've all been together in this particular platform, so appreciate you and the folks at OneBayview for hosting tonight. It's good to see everybody. It's good to have conversation. I think there's a lot of things that we have to be excited about in the Bayview. If we look at the past almost 6 years that I've been in office, with the setting up of the cultural district would actually happen right before I got in office, but most certainly the resources and the funding going to support the work of the cultural district. That is something that we're excited about. Bringing the 15 express bus to Bayview, where folks can get to downtown much quicker. And we know how slow the T has been for our folks actually stopping switchbacks, unless it's been for maintenance issues and been for emergencies for the T line, to have to go back, finishing a lot of development projects that we have focused on, some of which are in areas people are not excited about 100%, but most certainly folks have been building on the shipyard, and it has been affordable housing that people are moving into and excited to have homes in that area. We continue to provide more oversight on the shipyard. We pushed from the civil grand jury report to have independent research done on groundwater and sea level rise on the shipyard. And so that research, independent research, is taking place. We required everyone who developed on parcel A all the new affordable housing projects to actually have soil sampling conducted before they were able to build. This was something that our office did. This was something that was not required, and we made sure that either the developers were going to do that or they were not going to be able to develop. And this is on parcel A, not on parcel G, where the Navy claims all the toxins are. So we've done a lot and everything we can and will continue to do, of course, to protect folks who are in the shipyard area and folks who are living on the shipyard. We've done a lot in the area of speed bumps. If you look down Paloux, if you go down Ingalls, if you go down Jennings, there are a lot more speed bumps. There's a sewage revamping happening on some of our streets, and the area of the neighborhood Hill, with Hollister and Ingerson and those areas, the sewage pipes are being reconstructed, and then we'll have more streets that are paved in community. There are a lot of things that we still need to do to be desired in terms of addressing our illegal dumping problem, but we do have legislation that now will provide cameras to catch some of the folks who are illegal dumping, so we can do everything we can to curtail that. We can definitely talk parking. And at the end of the day, like I tell folks, one thing that is not going to be solved, most certainly overnight, and probably not during my term, is eradicating violence completely. And we've done a lot of things to address that, as well as parking. We have families who can't afford to live in the city. We have families where there are 3 or 4 different families living in one household, everyone having to get to work, having to get to school, which has brought a lot of vehicles, which we don't have enough parking in community. And so obviously my goal is to continuously improve public transportation, to try to get folks out of cars so we can have less cars on the street, and continue to do things to address parking in that manner. We have made some changes in certain areas where, for instance, there were bike lanes put in place ahead of development. We've been able to dial some of that back until development is actually complete. So we continue to work on addressing that as well. But parking is an issue that we'll do everything we can to address, but most certainly won't be solved overnight. With that said, Anietie, I think I will pause there just so that I don't take up all of the time before we have questions. But I do want to say that we are in the middle of budget season right now. I know people have questions. We're facing a $1.2 billion deficit over the next couple of years. Just want everyone to know our priorities for the District 10 office are maintaining critical services, addressing affordability, decreasing the inequities that exist, of course, addressing safety, and making sure we address services for folks who are living on the street and folks with mental health concerns. And we'll continue to push that. And I did see someone talk about the trash on the corners. I did talk about the legal dumping legislation, cameras that are going to be in place, the fact that DPW now can cite people for dumping. But of course, this is the official response. You need to call 311. to report anything that you see. And you can also email my office at waltonstaff@sfgov.org, and we'll get folks out at the very least to address dumping and trash that is present. But most certainly, we're still working on doing what we can to stop the dumping illegally in our community. And I will stop there. Thank you for this time, Anietie, and just looking forward to having a discussion and answering questions.